I've led many interview committees, and often the real challenge wasn't the interview itself, but the selection process. At our smaller colleges, we frequently encounter situations like multiple qualified internal candidates or a stellar external candidate competing against a well liked internal candidate who may be less qualified. And let's be honest, in close knit communities, everyone knows everyone. This makes a thorough and fair interview and deliberation process absolutely vital. I recall one particularly challenging deliberation where the committee was evenly split between two highly qualified internal candidates, each with distinct strengths. It was tough, but the committee engaged in a truly thoughtful discussion, weighing the pros and cons of both. One of the best compliments I ever received came from a committee member who said that throughout the entire deliberation, she had no idea which candidate I preferred. As the chair, that feedback reassured me that I had set up the process effectively and facilitated discussion without pushing my own agenda. Every job interview process is a big deal, not just for you as the committee lead, but especially for the candidates who are interviewing for positions that could truly change their lives. This video, along with the accompanying resources, is designed to help you set up successful interviews and conduct fair and effective deliberations. Interview day is huge. Your candidates are on campus, and you want to make sure their experience is positive from the moment they arrived. Here are a few key things to keep in mind. Number one, preparation is key. Have interview questions ready for the candidate and plenty of copies for everyone on the committee. Ask your committee members to arrive 15 minutes before the first interview. You, as the chair, should aim to be there at least 30 minutes early to ensure the room is perfectly set up. This is often the first in person interaction with some candidates, and you want to make a great first impression. Before the interviews begin, take a moment to review the process with your committee. Second, small gestures matter. Offer a bottle of water to each candidate. It's a simple, thoughtful gesture that can make a big difference. Third, provide a warm welcome. Ensure your front desk reception staff know who's expected and when. This prevents any awkward surprises and ensures candidates receive a warm, informed welcome. Fourth, ensure a professional environment. The interview space should be clean, tidy, and have any necessary technology ready to go before the candidates arrive. Fifth, give candidates some space. Schedule sufficient time between interviews. It works best for everyone if candidates don't cross paths as one interview concludes and the next begins. It's crucial that your committee understands what they cannot ask about. Federal and state laws protect candidates from discrimination based on certain characteristics. It is illegal to consider these when evaluating candidates. This list outlines protected characteristics and other questions to avoid. In general, your interview questions probably don't address these categories, but when you and the rest of the committee have opportunities for small talk, it is easy for some of these protected characteristics to come up in discussions. In addition to the committee interview, I found that a dedicated 30-minute one-on-one meeting with each final candidate is invaluable. This allows for a deeper, more personal conversation about the position and your workplace culture. I've developed a consistent script for these meetings to ensure fairness and clarity. Following this video, you'll find a template to guide your own one-on-one sessions. Here are some key elements I always include. I start out by sharing a bit about my own background and experiences. This helps build rapport and establishes my credibility. Second, we look at the organizational structure. I provide an overview of the organizational structure, both above and below the position, so candidates understand where they fit within the larger college framework. In addition, I discuss the department's recent history and structure, giving context to the team they'd be joining. This includes the challenges and opportunities I see. Next, we look at the job expectations and work details. I provide a clear overview of the job expectations, outlining key responsibilities and goals. I address schedule expectations, including the after hours or remote work options. In addition, I try to give an overview of a typical day might look like. Finally, I always leave ample time for candidates to ask their own questions. This structured approach helps ensure candidates have a comprehensive understanding of the role and the college. It also allows me to address any concerns and set the right expectations before a candidate even starts. One of the biggest challenges in conducting effective interviews is being acutely aware of and actively working to mitigate our own biases. We all have them, and they can significantly impact our hiring decisions, often without us even realizing it. We're going to spend a little more time addressing these to enforce the importance of continued self evaluation and leadership. This slide highlights several common biases that can cloud our judgment. Let's take a moment to review some of these biases. First, the glare factors. This bias occurs when we judge candidates based on superficial or irrelevant characteristics that have nothing to do with their ability to do the job. For example, being overly impressed or put off by a candidate's clothing, accent, or even a minor mannerism rather than focusing on their qualifications and interview responses. Second, the experience fallacy is a tendency to overvalue a candidate's past experience without adequately considering their potential for growth, learning, and strengths in a new role. We might dismiss a highly promising candidate with less direct experience if they demonstrate strong foundation skills and the strengths needed for the role. Next is the confirmation bias. This subtle yet powerful bias leads us to actively seek out information that confirms our initial impressions or existing beliefs about a candidate, while inadvertently ignoring or downplaying contradictory evidence. If you have a gut feeling about a candidate early on, you might unconsciously focus on answers that support that feeling and overlook those that don't. With more experience comes the likelihood of the next bias, the overconfidence bias. This is the trap of overestimating your own ability to accurately assess candidates. We might believe our gut instincts are always right, leading us to make quick judgments without thoroughly reviewing all the evidence or considering diverse perspectives from the committee. An additional bias to be aware of is the similarity bias or affinity bias. This common bias causes us to favor candidates who remind us of ourselves, who share similar backgrounds, hobbies, or personality traits. We might unconsciously feel more comfortable with them and interpret their responses more favorably, even if another candidate is objectively a better fit for the role. A more subconscious bias we may have is the stereotype bias. This involves making assumptions about individuals based on generalized stereotypes about groups they belong to. For example, age groups, educational institutions, or even previous employers, rather than us evaluating them as unique individuals with their own merits. This can lead to unfair judgments and missed opportunities. Due to our ability to not remember anything leads to the availability bias. This occurs when we rely too heavily on information that comes to mind easily, perhaps recent examples, or particularly memorable, either positive or negative moments from an interview. We might give disproportionate weight to something a candidate said 5 minutes ago, forgetting other equally relevant information discussed earlier. Finally, we may run into the trap of the escalation of commitment, also known as the sunk cost fallacy. This is the tendency to continue supporting a decision or candidate even when there's negative evidence, simply because we've already invested a significant amount of time, effort, or emotional energy into the entire process. It's the I've already put so much into this search, I need to pick someone mindset. As a supervisor, you need to continually evaluate your assumptions and biases that impact your decision making. There's an activity following this video that will help you take some time to reflect on these biases. Next, let's talk about some strategies I found helpful in mitigating these biases. It's an ongoing process, and I'm always learning and refining my approach. Here's some strategies I actively employ. The committee uses a final candidate evaluation sheet that accurately reflects the key characteristics we're looking for in the role. The committee takes notes on what the person says by the interview question that directly addresses those characteristics. The notes contain actual statements. They do not contain the committee members' thoughts or feelings on the answer. These notes are then referred to during deliberation to provide evidence to the scores given. For some interview questions, I try to identify the ideal answer or the key components of a strong answer and share that information with the committee. This helps us evaluate candidates more objectively. For example, when hiring a recruiter at a previous college, we had to ensure the team understood that the personality type for that role was very different from an administrative assistant on the same team. We had to be able to say no to a great candidate because she wasn't the right fit for the recruiter role. For example, we might ask, Do you like coming up with creative solutions in real time? Or do you prefer following a set process? The ideal answer would depend on the specific role and its requirements. Before deliberating, have everyone in your committee score the candidates individually before discussing. Then have everyone share the results before the deliberation begins. Sometimes there's a clear cut number one, sometimes there isn't, but everyone had a chance to weigh in on the results. I found that conducting two interviews can also be effective. In the past, I've used phone interviews as the first stage to minimize appearance based biases before inviting candidates for an in person meeting. As a committee chair, you should make a conscious effort to speak last and ask questions first. This allows you to gather everyone's input before sharing your own, preventing your views from inadvertently influencing others. This helps combat the hippo effect, the highest paid person's opinion, which often carries undue weight, even if it's not the best decision. Finally, make sure the committee knows there's the start over option, that they can always say no to all candidates and restart the process if necessary. While it's time consuming, making a bad hire is far more detrimental in the long run. These strategies aren't foolproof, but they significantly help me stay mindful of my biases and help make more informed, equitable hiring decisions. Contacting references is a crucial piece of the interview puzzle. When set up properly, reference checks can provide valuable additional information to support your selection process. I recommend contacting the references of your top two candidates, but some institutions use reference checks as a final verification step, simply to ensure there are no red flags before a final offer. When contacting references, there are a couple things to consider. Number one, set your priorities. Before making calls, determine what specific information you are hoping to learn from these references. Number two, notify the candidates. At the final interview, inform candidates when and how you utilize reference checks in your process. And number three, prepare questions and keep it concise. Prepare a concise list of questions beforehand and be mindful of the expectations you have of a busy person who is serving as the reference. The interview and deliberation process is more than just filling a vacancy. It's about making a strategic investment in the future of your college. For you, as a leader, it's an opportunity to build a high-performing team that can drive our mission forward. For your college, thoughtful hiring ensures we bring in individuals who will thrive, contribute positively to our culture, and ultimately serve our students and communities effectively. And for the candidates, this process is about their career, their aspirations, and their potential to make a meaningful impact. We're always eager to welcome new talent to our community, but remember, the best decisions are rarely rushed. Take your time, lean on these strategies, and trust in the thoroughness of your process. Making the best decision for the role, the team, and the college is worth every effort.